My next guest takes on Raush Manfio coming up here at Titan FC 46 on November 17th. It's Chaz Walton joining me here on the program for the very first time. Chaz, how are you?
I'm great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I appreciate you joining me here, especially on a Sunday. And first time I've had you on the show, so I want to know, how'd you get involved in combat sports?
Man, I've been a fighter my whole life, whether by choice or not. And I did a lot of traditional martial arts as a kid, and got involved mainly training MMA because I was planning on joining the military, and I figured it was the toughest thing I could do to prepare me for the basic training and everything like that. And I just fell in love with the sport. I fell in love with with martial arts again, and ever since then I've been hooked.
Excellent. That sounds good, man. What do you do for work now, along with fighting? What sort of pays the bills for you right now?
I'm a personal trainer.
Nice.
I train other fighters as well, helping them get ready for camps and cornering other fighters. And I also am an instructor. I teach boxing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I teach kickboxing as well.
As far as being a personal trainer, do you find it's easier to get clients because you can sort of sell it as the fact that you're a professional fighter? It seems like that's like, if I was someone looking to train, I would want to go with someone who's a professional, in some form of a sport. I think that's pretty cool.
Oh, definitely. I think people understand what the sport requires, and they understand that there's a level of toughness and discipline and things like that involved, so that respect is already there when I'm, trying to get a client or talking with a client about nutrition or their workout habits, things like that. So it definitely helps me get my foot in the door.
Let's talk about Titan FC. How did this all come together with you competing for them? This is a pretty big card, and it's pretty cool to see you on it.
Man, it's been a huge blessing, honestly. I was scheduled to fight Wesley Barnes. He's a local guy around here. Pretty good fighter, but I was scheduled to fight him and come back and fight for my title. I vacated before I had shoulder surgery, and that fight fell through. He got injured, which is really unfortunate. I wish him a speedy recovery. I know those things happen and can be tough. And, I just kept my faith and I kept my positivity. And within 2 days, Titan was knocking at my door.
Cool. And I know you fought on the big stage before. You fought for Legacy, but is it kind of cool fighting for Titan because they're on UFC Fight Pass? Like, people worldwide are going to get to see your fight. That's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. I've also fought in front of Dana White when he was doing his show.
Oh, Looking for a Fight. That's right. Yes. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. I fought in front of him when he was doing the Looking for a Fight. That's actually one of my fastest knockouts was 7 seconds. And that was at 170. So there was some interesting pressure there. I took that fight on maybe like 3 weeks notice. And I've fought for Legacy twice, been on television, national television 2 times. Just been really blessed to have those experiences already as a pro. I haven't been a pro, but about almost 2 years. So those experiences definitely helped me, and I'm super excited to be a part of Titan. A lot of guys that I've looked up to have fought for Titan. A lot of guys I train with and that are in the UFC now have fought for Titan. So it's kind of like a rite of passage, I feel like, for me to take that step.
How do you feel like you match up against your opponent in this fight?
I think I match up well. He's a pretty straight up dude. He's a fighter. I mean, he does a few things well. He does some other things not so well, and I feel like I'm well rounded. I adapt to any opponent, and I think that I will be victorious regardless of where the fight goes.
And as far as training camp, who are some of your main training partners helping you get ready for this fight?
Oh man, I've had Jordan Rinaldi.
Yep.
He's signed with the UFC right now. I've been able to get some training in with Dheigo Lima, Dheigo Lima, both really big studs in the game. And just my normal team and my coaches have been around me, helping me get ready. And I mean, I took a trip to train with good old Mike Carey. I like that guy. He's a stud, man. He's primal for sure. And that was a great experience training with him and Julian Williams, everybody in their camp. So I've honestly had a great time just prepping for this fight and just enjoying the ride, man.
I love it, man. How do you see this fight ending on November 17th?
First round finish.
Nice. Didn't even hesitate because you're not getting paid by the hour, right? You got to go in there and get it done, as quick as you can.
Exactly. In my mind, the pay scale, the sooner I get it done, I'm not getting paid more, but I like to break it down per second, per minute that I spend in there. And so the sooner I get it done, the more worth my pay it is.
Excellent. I know you're not looking past your opponent here, but you have to look at your record and look at the fact that you're fighting for Titan. If you get another quick win here, are you looking at this as sort of an audition for the UFC after this? Because you mentioned Dana White already knows you. Now you're on Fight Pass. It seems like a good combination here.
Absolutely. This is definitely – I'm not looking at my opponent as a stepping stone by any means. Mm-hmm. I know that he's a tough dude from a tough camp with a good experience, good record. He's Brazilian, so, Brazilians are resilient. And I've got all of that in mind, but I definitely have my mind on the big picture. And I know that with, one or two more wins, I will be in a big show this time next year. No doubt in my mind. And
has Titan mentioned anything to you about a potential title shot for the winner of this fight? Because I know right now it's a little bit murky. Freddie Assunta's the champ, but he hasn't fought in a while. Kurt Hollabaugh was the interim champ, but he got signed to the UFC. So it seems like that's kind of open at the moment. Has there been any discussions about that?
No, not really. I think, I know I'm kind of up against their guy. So, not saying that they might be counting me out, but they haven't really gotten in depth about the steps we'll take after I win this fight. But I'm sure we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Last question for you here. I know you're a big family guy, so I'm sure, spending time with family is part of your downtime. But what else do you like doing? Are you like a TV guy, video game guy? What would I find you doing outside the cage as far as trying to take
I'm a little bit of a video game nerd,
Nice.
A little bit of a gun nut. So, I like to hit the range. I like to play Xbox One and play online. And, that's always a good little disconnect from everything going on. So yeah, I get a little nerdy sometimes. And, I go to the range and spin some brass every once in a while.
Good stuff, man. What are you playing on Xbox?
Right now I'm playing Ghost Recon Badlands.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Pretty addictive, bro. It's an awesome game.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to put like a timer on, otherwise you'll just stay and play it all night. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. My son keeps me in check. He doesn't let me play too long.
That's good. That's what sons are for, right? They gotta get the dad time in, right? So.
Absolutely.
Good stuff, man. Well, we're certainly looking forward to this fight. It's Titan FC 46. It's coming up here November 17th, live on UFC Fight Pass. Just remind people where they can get a hold of you on social media, and if you got any thank yous or shout-outs, the floor is yours, man.
You can follow me on Twitter. I post a lot of fight stuff on Twitter, on Facebook. My Twitter handle is the Hybrid89. And just my name on Facebook. I have a fan page on Facebook. As far as shout-outs go, I obviously want to shout out all of my training partners, people I mentioned earlier, the people I didn't mention, because there's so many, I really can't think of all the names, especially low carb. So, but I want to shout out my coaches, Johnny Dunn, Steve Mitchell. I want to shout out my boss and gym owner who, he really opened the doors for me to have a place to train, CJ Wilson. And I want to shout out Brett Walters. He's been a huge part of our team, and he just pours into our team and doesn't ask for anything back. And definitely, last but not least, got to shout out my wife, who puts up with quite a bit, as I'm sure you could imagine.
Yeah.
As I'm sure you could.